Hi guys, welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books. Two books. So, comedic fantasy would be one book, and monster, urban, paranormal, fantasy, romance, mystery. You gotta love indie authors. Like, you gotta love it, right? Anyway, okay. Let's see. And yes, if you notice, the bookshelf behind me looks a little different. I finally reorganized my bookshelf because I got so many physical books, and I like to put them in genre and then alphabetic order of the author. So it was kind of driving me nuts. So I took a week, and bit by bit I reshelved them. If you guys want to see it, let me know. But if not, cool. It's just, the background. So the first book, which is the comedic fantasy, is Dreadful by Catlin, Rozakis. I was gonna check how to pronounce that name, and I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. It's 4 stars. Now, I have the physical book that I really thought was very pretty. Has sprayed edges, then stencil edges here, and if you could see, I don't know if you could see, there's skulls and like little garlic cloves. And little garlic cloves appear too in the design. And I was looking at the cover so much that I think I went a little crazy. Or a little crazier than usual. Because you see the silhouettes here, right? And my brain was like, wait a minute. Are there silhouettes like in the negative space? Like this way? So if you see what I'm talking about, this one looks like a bust right here, and this like a wizard hat up here. I could just be crazy. That could have been intentional. I don't know, but it drove me a little crazy. I mean, in a fun way. You know what I mean? In a fun way. But this was 4 stars. It follows Gav, who wakes up in an evil wizard's tower with no memory and realizes that he himself is the evil wizard with no memory. So I thought it was interesting to play on identity and how memories and trauma like affects you. And I really enjoyed how, even though he didn't have a memory of being evil, but certain things still triggered like this horrible temper he has. And this temper, along with arcane fireball knowledge, he had to kind of fight himself not to explode people or set them on fire. I found it amusing. Now, but I didn't laugh out loud. And like, comedy's very subjective, right? I like the dry voice. I like the little silliness here and there. So it was amusing. I enjoyed the whole reading experience. And this came out this year, 2024, and it's 345 pages. So I don't want to spoil a lot. I like the ending. I feel like the ending ended how like the message the author wanted to send, and it ended very well in that regard. I will say, my friend told me about this, and she's like, oh, you're just gonna love the goblins. Boy, was she right. I love the goblins. Olga, Thork, and Gurj Beetle was my favorite. He's a little shy goblin, and even Gav like made sure to talk to him softly and everything. I love them the best. The mayor of the town where this evil wizard tower existed, I really liked her. I liked how strong she was. I liked how this is like the 43rd and a half wizard that took over the tower. So she's like old hand at that. She's not like a shrinking violet. She's like, yeah, I got this. I know what to do, right? And the whole time I'm like, why is there garlic in the design of the stencil edges and then you know why? Garlic festival. And you know what? The description of it was like, oh shit, I want to go to a garlic festival. That sounds delicious. I love garlic. I was like, that sounds delicious. I want to go. So he wakes up and he realizes, hey, I don't have my memory, and hey, I'm a bad guy, but I don't feel like a bad guy. I wonder why. And we got like a flash or two, which of his childhood, like barefoot, couldn't afford shoes, so hungry that he ate like moldy stale bread and didn't care. So you kind of got why he became an evil wizard, and like, I don't know, you kind of admire the gumption and the guts and like the ability to learn and to pull himself up to that level, you know. Gav is easy to like, not his evil self before, but Gav that we're in this POV the whole time. He's easy to like, and he's really hard on himself, which fair, you know. Some of the things he did before, fair. Like he was evil. Like, again, I don't mind an evil character. I just want to root for them, and like I totally rooted for him, you know. There's 3 other wizards that he's in cahoots with, a plan, and the head of that, this little cabal that's going on is like a super evil wizard that even the other 2 wizards are like scared of. So like he can't just be like, oopsie, bye-bye. Like he has to play the game where he's gonna die. And I liked how he was very much, I don't want to die, so I'm gonna play along, bitch. Let's go. And I like that. I like that a lot. The princess that he apparently kidnapped when he was still evil, oopsie doodle, is in the dungeon, and they form an interesting relationship. Of course, in the beginning, she hates him. She doesn't trust him, you know, and I liked how, you know, he treated the goblins like people with personalities and things like that. And he kind of, in doing that, and even when he's like, what, goblins aren't people to you, kind of shamed her because goblins weren't people to her, you know, until this. And I didn't like it, but I think the author is making a point how the heroes killed the goblins. They don't think about it, you know, and Ogla made a point of saying like, they come to our swamps, kill our babies, and they, you know, they think they're great when meanwhile we were just minding our own business. So I liked that the author turned that on its head. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Like, you know, is someone born evil? No. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe serial killers. You know what I mean? But, so stuff like that. And I liked that. I kind of wanted more, you know, like I was kind of waiting for him to go in on the princess, you know, because she's like, you know, one time she asked like, why did you become evil? You know what I mean? So at one point, you know, she asked, why did you become evil? Blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted him to go in because like the little flashes we got, extreme poverty, right? And so when you're starving, you do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? And like, she's like this spoiled princess. She has her own issues, that very much parallel, Gav in a sense, like identity issues that I thought was very clever. You know, they have banquets and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, eat the rich. You know, what are you talking about? Like, I wanted him to go in like how the royalty is the reason why evil wizards exist. Like I wanted that. The author didn't go there, which is fair. That wasn't what they were going for. I get that. They were going for our identity and things like that. Again, a lot of amusing moments, a lot of fun moments, especially with the goblins. Oh my god, I treasured them. I love them so much. And I loved how Gav didn't want any casualties for the goblins, like things like that. And like because of that, he just treating goblins like people, he got their loyalty, right? And I'm trying to do spoiler free, and like the townspeople got theirs, like, and people around him aren't what they seem, which I thought was a lot of fun. This is a lot of play on masks and what people see versus who people are, and what people want you to see versus what people are, you know, sort of, you know, the whole adage, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, kind of a thing. So you know how in the workforce you have to dress a certain way to be taken seriously. So like that was definitely, I could see the playthroughs of that, and I enjoyed it. I said I enjoyed it. The only reason it's not 5 stars is because like humor is really subjective, and I didn't laugh. I was amused the whole time, and I had a great time, and I'm gonna see what else this author has done, because I'm a fan. It just wasn't, you know, the humor just didn't hit completely for me, right? I like the ending, and like in the end of the thing that got me, I was like, oh, because like he just wanted a friend at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So I liked it. It was amusing. Gav, you root for him. And the final like boss battle was equal parts humorous and like suspenseful. Ugh, What is wrong with me today? Suspenseful. So that was great. That was great. That was great. Okay. So I know I'm not talking a lot about it because, like, again, it just came out. You know, go try it. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go read it. It's fun. Okay. So the second book, which is Monster, Paranormal, Urban, Fantasy, Mystery, Romance. Okay. And I do want to say, because lately there's a lot of talk of monster romances and, like, the hidden, not really hidden racism of it. How, like, you know, these barbarians kidnap these white women, and apparently the white women's vagine is so magical it makes the monsters human. I have read a few that were like that. I DNF'd them, didn't even want to talk about them because I didn't want to promote them. And I hope I didn't accidentally promote any like that. The ones I have found, like the ones written by Michelle Mills and this author K.M. Avery, the Michelle Mills ones, the monsters have their own society, are rich. They don't change because the woman's vajay, the human vajay, was so magical. No, you know, it really feels like two cultures coming together, understanding each other, you know, which I enjoy. You know, understanding and respecting each other's differences. K.M. Avery, the Beyond the Veil book series is, it's not like subtle, but it is, hey, racism is bad. Which, yes, it is. And this series is not subtle about it. It's no clever hints. It's like, hey, racism, if you're racist, you're a piece of shit. Agreed, you know? So, I will say that. So, there are good writers for the monster romance genre that aren't playing into those horrible tropes. If you find them, awesome. If you're looking for one that doesn't follow trope, Michelle Mills, K.M. Avery, Beyond the Veil series, very much not those tropes. Because I can't stand those tropes. I think it's horrible, and I don't even talk about them on here. If I have in the past, I don't remember, and it probably was a mistake. So, I'm getting on. Thank you for joining my TED Talk, okay? So, The Bones in the Yard, Beyond the Veil, Book 5 by K.M. Avery. This is 440 pages. This is also 4 stars. So, Beyond the Veil series is really interesting, and I like how they do this. Beyond the Veil, it started as Ward's business. Now, Ward is a human that is a really powerful medium. Now, in this world, a worldwide illness happened about 2 decades ago. People are still wearing masks, still have to wear gloves. It either killed you, gave you like psychic powers like Ward, who is a medium, or turned you into a nid, which is like a vampire, a ghoul, a shifter, an orc, or an elf, right? So that's what is going on in this world. And Beyond the Veil is the business that Ward started by himself, being a medium. The first 4 books, it's him and his budding romance with Dr. Mason Manning, who is an orc after the virus and lost his professor job. He was in a college, he taught history, published, like he's a big deal in that space. Lost job because he became an orc after he got sick. Again, bad. Racism, bad. Discrimination, bad. It's not being subtle. It's pretty upfront, and you're like, yeah, obviously, you know what I mean? So the first 5 books is them, right? And Doc starts working with Edward in his business, and his business grows. And then when Ward consults with the police, there's one cop that he always works with who I adored from the beginning. It's Detective Hart, who is an elf with the worst potty mouth. It is fantastic, right? In the last book, what was it? Book 4? Yeah, book 4. You find, well, the first 3 books are Ward and Manning, sorry. So book 4 is the first one that has to do with Detective Hart. And I was like kind of confused, but I was like here for it because I really wanted to know his story. He's such a fun secondary character. I was a little worried he would be less fun being the main character. No, he was amazing. I loved it. And he's like the one Nid, or creature on the force, and like the discrimination and the shit he has to deal with just from other cops, horrible. There are a few other people in the police station that really have his back, and you're like, oh thank goodness, you know, he's not all by himself. But in the fourth book, stuff really heated up to the point where he was no longer safe. There is an anti-magical people movement that wants all Nids dead. It's horrible. They were called into, you know, his station was called in riot gear to stop a riot, and a couple of his fellow officers pushed him into the rioters and stabbed him. So like, he was not safe. Oh my gosh, no. We love Hart. Don't let him get hurt. So after that mystery was solved, that book's mystery was solved involving his love interest, Tav, who is a shifter. Ward and Doc was like, hey, come work for us. Which I thought was smart because one, they love Hart. He's part of the family. I love chosen family. I really do. And two, you know, they're not detectives. They're very smart, you know, but like, especially Ward gets a lot of serial killer cases that he consults on, and they're not detectives. So it was sort of like two birds, one stone. Hey, we want you safe, Hart, but also we could use a detective in our business. So he becomes a private eye and he works for Beyond the Veil, which is great. So this book takes up after that. 6 months later, he's sort of having an identity crisis because he's always been a cop. You know, and what this writer does, you're always in one person's POV, right? And they have identity issues. They have self-esteem issues. And Ward thought he was like not good looking, and his past relationships were kind of really verbally abusive towards him. So he has a lot of low self-esteem that way. And Hart, I thought, was interesting because before the virus turned him into like a gorgeous elf, he considered himself very plain, very average looking. And the only people that are interested in him now is because of the looks. And like, he's like, the looks aren't me. You know, the outer casing isn't who I am, which I thought was very interesting. I kind of wanted the author to go more. I wanted both these authors to go more about identity and like the outer visual casing not reflecting the inner. But maybe I could understand why the author didn't, because maybe they don't feel like they could tell that story with nuance, because that is a sensitive subject that needs a lot of nuance and understanding. And maybe they're just like, hey, that's not my story to tell. Fair. You know what I mean? Like, fair. So he's wrestling that, and he doesn't, and he like he kind of like messes up with Tav as like, you only like me because I'm good looking. And Tav's like, bitch. I like Tav. I like Tav a lot. And he's like, no, because like in the book before, Tav was stuck in his dog form and he lives with Hart. So he really knows who Hart is, what Hart hides from outside, you know, under his bitchy, sarcastic exterior. Hides a very gentle little soul, which is very cute, very sweet. We love it. So no, and like Hart calls his best friends like, oh, I messed up. His best friend's like, yeah, you did, idiot, fix it. Like, no sympathy. And I was like, you know, that is a good friend, you know, someone that's like, oh, I'm sorry for that, but also you're an idiot. Because it's not healthy if everyone's like, oh, you're perfect, you did great, no, you shouldn't be blamed for anything. No, that's not healthy for like a human, just like a good person. That's not healthy to be surrounded by, right? Because then you don't stay a good person, you know what I mean? Your head grows a little bit too big, you think none of your shit stinks, you don't try to be better, you know what I mean? That's all we can do in this life, try to be better. So that's going on where him trying to make it up to Tav, because he really is in love with Tav. And I love Tav's character. I really do. So while that's happening, they're dealing with this secret society that thinks magic only belongs to humans and wants to kill the Nid. And then we're dealing with the anti-magic people who want all of them dead and just humans with no powers. They especially hate Nids. And then we have a third group, which is so those two groups are overarching stories. And then we have this third group who comes up in this mystery is a bastardization of an Aztec sacrificial ceremony, and it's trying to bring the end of days. Had me riveted. I was so interested. I was like, yes, please, more, please. I want to know more. And Tav had a lot of knowledge in that, so I loved that. And like just little things like, because Tav doesn't have any family, right? So I loved that, you know, because this was around Halloween, Dios de los Muertos, and like I love how like Tav was like, didn't really have much for ofrenda, but everybody from, you know, Manning, Doc, Ward, and their nephew Jackson came to help with the ofrenda, because that's also part of Doc's culture, and I loved that. I loved the bastardization of, I wouldn't say I loved it, but I was so interested by the cult and how they were like bastardizing this ancient ceremony, and they were like, oh, we're better than everybody, we should only have magic, and like the Secret Society like, no, we should only have magic. So they were like a lot of infighting. I will say the third act, I loved how Hart just kind of, he gets in a bad situation. And it was really dumb. It's one of those moments like, well, I have to protect Tav. Meanwhile, Tav's a badass. You know what I mean? But he's in love, so he does stupid things. And because of that, he kind of at the last moment, like he finds who the killer is with the invisible bullet. He finds out who's doing the sacrificial murders, and apparently they're like in the same group. And then like Hart's like, oh my gosh, no, he's part of the secret society and you're part of the Aztec society. So like to save himself, he kind of got them to like start going at each other, start trying to kill each other. I had a great time, 4 stars. The next one seems like we get to meet Hart's best friend in person, Elliot, who is a badger shifter and apparently kicks ass. Can't wait. That's gonna be interesting. That's probably gonna be the last of Hart and Tav, because it seems like maybe 3 books and they move on to a different couple. I really can't wait. I really can't wait till the couple of Ryan, who is a death witch, that Ward has been trying to save since the first book, and he saved him in the second book or third book. Because obviously him and the FBI tiger shifter Raj, obviously they're going to be a couple. Like, it's kind of obvious. It's really cute. It's really sweet. I can't wait for that. I don't think it's going to be the next couple here, but it's okay. I'm here for it. I'm really looking forward to that couple. It might be like maybe the last couple, since saving Ryan sort of started the whole book series kind of a thing. So like I wouldn't mind that kind of symmetry. I just really hope Ryan gets a happily ever after, because he's been through a lot and he's pretty young, you know. So that's this week. Yeah, so that's this week. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.